Okay. Hi, my name is Robert Gaertner. I am the Director of Advocacy with CASA for Children for the Washington, Waller, Austin, and Colorado counties. How many people have heard of CASA here? Okay, good. It's a majority of you. And what CASA is, we are court-appointed special advocates for children that are taken in CPS care. And so basically, once a child is removed from their home and it's determined that they are being CPS is going to be taking possession of the child, then we are appointed as a attorney or guardian ad litem. And so what we do is we have volunteers that actually volunteer for us, and what they do is they represent a child, hopefully from start to finish of their case. It can normally last about a year, sometimes more, sometimes less. It just depends on the case. But it is the one person that actually does speak for the child in court. Every child that does goes through the system, they have a caseworker from CPS. They are given an attorney ad litem, but the attorney that they're given really just speaks for their best interest, or just speaks for what the child wants, does not speak for their best interest. CASA is there to speak for their best interest. That is what we do. We get to know the child. We spend time, at least once a month with the children. We work with the families. We do what we can to hopefully try to get the families back together. If that's not available, then we work to get the child into the best environment we can, whether it's foster families. Every situation is different, but it is a very important part of the process. You will find a lot of these children we work with, they don't have a lot. A lot of times they don't have a lot of family, no structure there. We have children where they're really only person that they really connect with. I mean, I can name several, is the CASA advocate. It is that important. It's hard to imagine just what these kids go through, and they go through this for no reason, no fault of their own. And so it really is a big deal. I mean, I wish I could say it's not as important, but it is. CASA is an organization that's truly making a difference for kids. It's just the relationships our advocates have with the children every day just never ceases to amaze me. There's just a connection that I see constantly, just for the fact that these children don't have a lot of options, and just to have someone that is actually just there for them, they're volunteering, makes all the difference in the world. And so that is what we do. We are actually in the process of adding more advocates right now. We have, I didn't do the number this week, but it's right at 106 cases, maybe 107 children. Right now that we're serving in these counties, which is a lot for our small counties. It's a whole lot. We've been very blessed. We are very fortunate to have, I think, we're at like 95% of, so I think we have 3 children that do not have an advocate right now. Other than that, we actually have an advocate for every child, which is very rare. But we're just very lucky our counties really step up, and we have a lot of people that really step up, and we've been able to actually just be able to meet what we have to for all the children that are put in the CPS care. So, but with that said, it never stops. We usually get 2-3 cases every month, and so that's why we're constantly having to increase the number of advocates we have. And so we will be having training. It's actually planned. It may be starting this week, Saturday, but we're hoping to get a few more advocates signed up, so we may kind of postpone it a week or two. But we are about to have training again, so if you know anybody that is interested, please give them our information. Please let them know. We have a CASA, it's CASA Central Texas website. On that, if you go into volunteers, there's a place where you can fill in the application that just comes directly to us. We'll contact that person, and then we will see what their interests are, and if they want to come join us, we will definitely, we offer, it's a 30-hour training session, so it's basically about 4 days of training that we do, some Saturdays, some weekdays. It can be done online if the person works full-time and they can't come to Some of it can be done online, so we can work with the individuals who are volunteering. But once you do that, then you're appointed by a judge as far as sworn in, and then we can assign the person 2 cases or to a child. And so, like I said, we are always adding, always looking for additional volunteers. We also have what we call CASA Crusaders, which are volunteers that just volunteer on a different role, maybe, because we do some fundraisers. We are helped by the state of Texas. There's Texas CASA that helps us with funding, but some of our funding also comes from networking. And so we do different fundraisers throughout the year. We do different events, and so we have like CASA Crusaders to help us with that. And then we also have board spots. We're looking for board members. We're getting there, but I think we still need about 5 board members yet to have a full board, just because we actually kind of revamped that here this past year, so that is also growing. So that is really everything that we have. Is there any questions or anything about CASA? Yes.
What is the relationship between the CASA volunteer and the foster parent?
It normally very good. As a whole, it's, we generally we try to work with the CASA, with the foster families, and what we find is a lot of times the foster families have a lot of needs. So like in Waller County, they have like a welfare board. So we go between them and there. So, because the idea is to try to get every child to have as normal of a life as they can, no matter what they're going through. So they help us with funding, like to get them, say if they want to play soccer, so we can get them like soccer equipment, baseball equipment, baseball shoes. Normally we work very well with the foster families.
But aren't they the main child advocate instead of the CASA worker?
Foster families, really, no, they're more just the child care. They just take care of the child. It is really we're the people that speak up in court for the child. You have the CPS worker, and you have us, and then you have an attorney ad litem that speaks up. Very rarely, you'll see the foster families in court sometimes, but they don't speak a lot. It's really the CASA advocates that advocate for the best interests of the child. And so usually we work really good with CPS as far as, because we're both moving toward what's best for the child. But sometimes we see things differently. Sometimes what we see, what the child may need, CPS may not, and so we may have a little different opinions, and so we bring that to the judge, and at the end of the day, it's just what the judge decides. It's going to be, but in the end, what we try to do is we just try to give the biggest picture to the judge, and so sometimes if one part or the attorney at litem sees one area, then we may see another area. What it does, it just enlightens to all aspects of the child's life, and it is really hard to explain just how many different scenarios play with each child, and they're all different. Every single case we have, there's a lot of similarities, but there's just as many differences in every situation, and it's not a cookie cutter. It is just, you really have to do your due diligence, do your homework, look at every aspect of the child's life, and then really that's where you make your recommendations for when you get to court. So there's a lot to it when it comes to just what is in the best interest of every child, because it just varies from every single case. So
we adopted through CPS a child, but we had to become foster family certified to go.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Does that take care of the CASA requirement?
As far as the training? Actually, that does a lot, yes. Yeah, you were definitely prepared for that. Now, there's still some training to do, because we even once we have advocates, there's 12 hours training required every month, or every year. I'm sorry, not every month, but every year. So there's still additional training, because things are ever changing. But yeah, as a whole, that will definitely give you a lot of foundation. You'll have a good understanding of what the whole process is, without a doubt. So, yes.
Okay, so do you only work with children up to the age of 18, or when do they?
Well, it kind of varies. As far as the children we work with go anything from newborn to age 18 as a whole. However, some children that age out in the system, because there's some that there's just no options. So they have an option to continue to be in the system until actually through the age 19. sometimes 20 depending on the situation. And so if they ask for us to continue to volunteer, we may stay with that child, and that's really hit and miss. It's kind of just depends on the child if they want us. We don't have too many that we really work with over 18, but there's a few.
Well, and I was asking because I was thinking about special needs children, and how special aid needs children, like even in the school system, they can stay in, I think, until like they're 21 or 22.
Yes.
I don't know if like y'all had situations like that.
We don't. We have some, not a lot though. I mean, I think as total right now of all our children we probably have maybe 2 that are over the age 18 right now that are still. Most of them, either they find a place where they are taken care of. And it's kind of interesting. We have like one special needs that actually is just in the perfect home. I mean, and so we actually that case closed early just because she found the perfect situation, a person that actually this is autism spectrum, and this person just knows exactly, and that's what she fosters these children. She actually adopts these children and does an amazing work with these children. We have a child that couldn't even talk when she went into this home, couldn't communicate at all, and she's learned sign language, she's in school. So it's just trying to find, and and CPS does a great job too. They try to find the right fit, the right place for the special needs.
So as a CASA advocate, what is the commitment, like the time? Commitment.
We usually ask for a 1-year commitment. Most of our advocates after that will stay longer. We have some that have been there for 10 years working with us. Some, just do a couple cases, just kind of depends. But we do ask for a 1-year commitment because that's generally the length of time that the kids are in CPS care. That's the timeline they are put on. Like I say, it can be shorter, it can be a little bit longer, but that's usually, so we just ask for the 30-hour training up front and the 1-year commitment, and then just see where that goes from there.
And then how often do you meet with the children as an advocate?
As a whole, once a month. That's the minimum requirement. And that's if they're placed within an hour of where you're at. Unfortunately, in our counties, there's not a lot of foster families, and there's not a lot of placement options unless there's kinship. So a lot of our children are kind of placed either Houston, San Antonio, Killeen. So if they're placed a little bit further, then it can be like every 3 months. And it depends on the advocate. That would be the minimum. Some advocates will, they, like I said, they actually develop a connection with a lot of these children, and they spend more time than that. It just kind of depends on the situation.
Children's shelters in these areas?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Children's shelters.
The only one we have it's in Austin County. It's in New Ulm. It's the Five Oaks, and that one's struggling right now. They have had a lot of issues out there. There's supposedly, right now, there's one being built in Washington County, another one. That is really it. Other than that, there is no other type centers. Everything else is either going to be foster families, which there's very few, or it's going to be kinship. And there is quite a few kinship. So that's always the first option if you move a child, is to put them in kinship. So, and you go from there. Any other questions?
I don't want to cut you short. We're getting
I saw we're
a little
getting
bit short on time.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Any other questions for Robert? I think you guys are doing a fantastic work.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for sharing your information and stuff. And, hopefully we can find you some more volunteers and advocates.
That sounds good. We are always looking. So thank you. We appreciate everybody. Thank you.